Right, I'm back again after about I think it's 6-7 months break after doing the Antec 1200 rig. Now, I've got a bit of a problem, or in fact I've got a few problems. The first and foremost is I've got a leak. Don't know if you can actually see that. Just there. There you go. And what I did last weekend, because it was pretty bad at the time, I drained part of the water out, I took the plumbing out, cleaned all the connectors, put it all back together, although not very good, but it still leaks. It's actually leaking on the connector rather than coming out of the pipe. So I put 3 zip ties on there, cable ties, whatever you want to call them, and it still didn't work. So I've got a spare one of those. He says. I've got a spare one, which I'm going to fit in place of. Now, the other problem I had was the RAM. There, if you can see with all this plumbing, the circulation on the RAM was pretty low. If you're actually considering getting the WC'd water-cooled RAM, what I suggest you do is think. It didn't circulate very well at all. I think it may have been due to the metal that's actually used in it, and it started clogging up, because I've got the copper heat sinks on virtually everything, and this one was actually I think it's stainless steel, and I think it's actually clogged inside. I've still got to strip it down and find out, but I'll let you know 100% about that one. The pipes, the circulation, if it wasn't clogged, was always okay. It was fine at the start with, and then the temperature started rising and rising and rising, and I actually figured it out, narrowed it down to be the RAM. So, as you can see, I just crossed it, bridged it. The temperatures are okay, so I'm considering actually taking the water cooling out of that completely. Don't know yet. And the other problem I've got is the GPU started sagging on one end possibly because of the excessive heat, I don't know. I think one of the problems was the PCI Express cables. I think they're actually dragging it downwards, so what I had to do as a temporary fix was put a piece of wood in there to hold it up. So I'm going to have to do something about that, I don't know what yet. The fluid I actually used was blood red when I put it in. If you can see now, it's pink. Now, I don't know if the actual dye is stuck to everything inside, but it's not half as red as it was. So I'm wondering if that's got a contributory factor to it actually clogging up. I think what I'm going to have to do is completely flush the whole system, take all the plumbing out, completely clean it. I've got some cleaner somewhere, so I'm going to strip it all down and actually clean the whole lot. I've got 2 XSBC radiators, 240mm, 2 front back. I've got 4 Noctua, I think they're NFP 120s, and I've also got some blanking units in the middle. They're just, all I've done is just cut the fans out of those. It's basically to stop the dead point on the air, if you know what I mean. And what I've got is a transfer pipe, which is 1/2 inch pipe on the top, and then here we've got, which you can't quite see, it is quite tight there, but it does work, there's no flow restriction. I've got 1 in and 1 out. So, well, I've been flushing this now for about half an hour with just water, just to get all the crap out of it. And even still, I don't know if you can see these, there's big globs of, I presume it's the dye that goes into the water. So that is the last time I use any coloured fluid, and I warn anybody else that if you are going to use it, this is the sort of thing that you're going to get. Right, I've just taken the CPU block apart just for cleaning it. Don't know if you can actually see this, but that seems to be red dye. It's also on this piece, on the brass plate, there. As I was saying before, it seems like the red dye is actually congealing somewhere. It was all in the water, so it looks like it's actually coming out everywhere. And I thought that stuff was decent stuff because it was very expensive. Although you can't see it, the red on this is quite bad. You can see. I've just wiped the CPU block out. The bits that you can see on there aren't actually of the toilet paper sort of breaking up. It is actually the congealed dye. There's still pieces on there. I'm going to have to completely wash that out with something. There's still pieces on there, so I think the whole lot's got to be scrubbed. Oh, you can actually see the dye. Never again. Right, I've stripped, cleaned, dismantled, done absolutely everything. Everything's been out, everything's gone back in. Well, about 80% of it's back in now. I've also got the addition of a fill pipe up the top, which I've still got to cut. I've also got the addition of a drain pipe at the bottom, so that'll just sit in the bottom like that, and that's about it. So it should be back together very soon. The circulation now, the water is actually still red for some strange reason, don't know why. But the circulation now is a lot better than it used to be. Now I've taken the memory out, I've just bridged the memory just in case there's any water still in there. So it should work, although there's still air circulating, so it's going to be a bit noisier than it should be. We'll fire it up. No, it won't, because it's not plugged in. Right, now it's plugged in. That's what I call quiet. The pumps are still making a bit of a noise because, like I say, there's still air in it. But the circulation now, although you can't see it, that used to be barely making any sort of ripple at all, but now it is. The noisiest things, the hard drives. Oh yeah, I've just left the fill pipe, I've just tucked that in for the time being. But everything's nice and cool and running. Lovely. I've used some what I thought were clear cable ties, zip ties or whatever, but under the UV light obviously they're showing up very, very brightly. Hang on. So, what do you think? Leave a comment. Oh, look at that one. Leave a comment, either black or white. And if you all say white, I'm going to cry because the amount of work involved in taking all the black ones out is ridiculous.